Hi, so tonight at midnight your slides presentations are due. I wanted to show you a few things that are hopefully helpful. So the first is this is Carmen, Jessica, and Mia. And one thing I think was helpful as they were putting together their slideshow is they basically just assigned each person in their group, looks like 4 to 5 slides based on the questions that they answered in the original document. So I highly suggest using this setup just as like a way to get your group organized and to make sure everyone knows exactly like what slides they're working on. So like this would be Mia's first question that she answered, and now she knows she has to set up her response for that question with the key points in this slide. So another thing I want to show you, this is Esme, Emily, and Rodrigo, and they're doing 20s to 40s. I just want to show you one example of a CFU that you could add into your slides, because I want to emphasize that although right now you're just focusing on making the slideshow, the week after spring break, you're going to be presenting these slides to another group in a Google Hangout. So basically it will be like a Google Hangout with maximum 8 people plus me, and you'll be presenting to each other. So you will have an audience, a very small audience, but you want to make sure you're not just like talking at them, but rather you're engaging them by asking them questions, having them discuss things amongst themselves. You can even come up with an activity to do. Of course, keeping in mind that we're doing this all virtually over technology, so activities are going to look a little different than they normally do in classroom. For the final grading for this project, if you all will click on the rubric that should be above this video, this is just a good thing to look over as you're putting together your presentation, so you can see exactly how you're going to be assessed on this final project. The part that I wanted to emphasize is, the presentation part. So, for example, like we're going to focus on this part, which is presentation is dynamic, and presentation includes features that significantly increase audience engagement, such as think, pair, shares, also known as CFUs, or activities. So this is kind of what I wanted the focus of the video to be on, is this part of the rubric, but the rest of the rubric is also here for you as you put together your presentation. For example, in this presentation, if I were doing this, they have this section here which is really interesting, which says adults develop a higher social status, a sense of equality with their parents, a shift in focus to teach the next generation, and gender roles profoundly influence criteria for mate selection. Research suggests that both biological and social forces are involved, for example, strong men carrying women's stereotypical roles, etc. Then they have this really interesting visual, which I think could be a good point of discussion for their audience members, where you can see on the y-axis we have perceived social status, and you can see when you're a young adult, your perceived social status is low, and then it continues to rise until you reach your middle adulthood, so like about your 40s or 50s. That's when you're perceived as having the highest social status, and then continues to drop off. If you're of a low socioeconomic status, it drops off as you age. So your perceived social status is at highest when you're a middle-aged adult. I would consider asking, could add like a think, pair, share here. And it could be like turn and discuss, or they can't really turn because they're on video. We could say discuss with audience members. What would be a question for this graph? We could say, why do you think that middle-aged adults are perceived as having the highest social status? And this is an interesting question. One thing that comes to mind for me is like financial security. So when you're middle-aged adult, you're at the peak of your financial security because you have like a healthy body to work with, a healthy mind to work with, and you're kind of at the peak of your earning potential, your ability to make money and achieve financial security. When you're younger, you don't have very many skills or knowledge, so you're at a lower earning potential. When you're older, you have knowledge, but you're also facing like a physical decline and oftentimes cognitive decline as well. So your earning potential isn't as high. So that's one type of question you could ask your audience. This is more of like a high level kind of application question. You could also consider asking to begin with like a more question just to make sure your audience was listening and processed what you were saying. So my first question could be like, I would separate these into two different slides, but I could say like, which age group is perceived as having the highest social status? So two types of questions you could ask. First would just be like a basic check to make sure your audience was engaged and listening. And you could also ask like a higher level application question to get an interesting discussion started in these presentations. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful for you as you start to put together these presentations, keeping bullet points simple, straightforward, using obviously the questions and the research you've already done to hopefully make this pretty easy process. You've already done all the hard part, you're just putting it into slides, and then adding in these audience engagement pieces for your presentations to be more engaging when we finally do present after spring break. Okay, final reminder, these slides are due midnight tonight when you're watching this, so midnight on Thursday. There's a place in this Google form to link your slides. So make sure you're communicating with your group members today. You're making sure you have everyone assigned a part of the slideshow to fill out, and make sure you share with me the final link before the end of the day today. Reach out if you need an extension. I understand hard deadlines can be hard right now, so reach out if you need an extension or if you have any questions about any aspect of your presentation. Okay, thanks for listening.